December is proving to be a pretty crazy month. For example, this past month, detached homes had their first month where prices were actually stable, yet apartments just saw their biggest decrease in 2022. Let's get into it. Hi, my name's Fyfe and I'm your Calgary Realtor. If you're looking to make a move or if you just need any information about anything real estate related, go ahead and click the very first link in the description and book a call with me. Okay, so here are the numbers for apartments in Calgary for the month of December. Now, today we're just looking at apartments, so if you're curious about another property type, please go ahead and browse my channel. So let's begin with the full year-to-date stats package for apartments both this year and last year. As you may already know, it's been a pretty crazy year, and apartments are some of the strongest holding property types in Calgary. You can see some super aggressive price increases from January to July, followed by a continued stable price point going right into December. Now, this is the first month that apartments as a whole has seen a decrease in 2022. With the amount of migration coming into Calgary, the demand for affordable product is still very strong, and I am confident that apartments are going to have another strong year in 2023 as we continue to see a new wave of people moving here. Moving along, you can see that the sales, new listings, and inventory have all fallen, which is expected for the month of December, but I'm curious to see just how long those stay down. In the coming months, it will be cool to watch the sales the difference between the 2 years, especially if you've been following my channel for the past 12 months. Now, a cold, long winter can really put a damper on things, and it is something to consider. I have seen in the past just how messy it can kind of put those year-over-year averages. Now, I will make sure to talk about that if it comes to that. Next, I really like this graph because you can clearly see the price movement over the whole year. Now, I'll most likely be referencing this graph in 2023. You can see the massive increase in the first 2 quarters of the year, and then it holding steady over the past several months. Now, this is pretty good to see because other properties types like detached and semi-detached homes both saw some medium-sized decreases. Now, if you look closely, you will notice that we're hovering around the May 2022 prices with a lot less craziness. Now, it did take 7 months to get back there, and that's pretty good in my opinion. It really did hold it together over, those fast increases of interest rate. The blue bar is inventory, the green bar is sales, and the red line is price. Now, just look how tight that wedge is getting, and that is fantastic to see for all you apartment owners out there. Fewer new listings and fewer sales equals a balancing out in price. The inventory in the sector has dropped significantly thanks to fewer people trying to sell their houses. Now, one thing I have found annoying with condos in Calgary in general is the sheer number of them being built. Right now, in 2023, sure, it makes sense, there's a lot of demand out there, but Calgary has been known for oversaturating our market with newly built condos, really driving that price down in years past by having just way too much inventory to choose from. And I think this is where the 2013 and 2014 prices got screwed. You could see some averages from 2013. Apartments were selling for about $300,000. This year they're selling for about $200, $220. So there's still quite a bit of difference there. It's just now it's gotten a little bit better. Okay, so this chart here showcases the condo market in all of Calgary. Now, this will help us to get a better understanding of what's going on around the city. Feel free to pause the video and read this on your own time, but we're gonna start on the left, and you can see a few quadrants selling more condos than were listed in the past month, with the Northwest selling over double and inching towards triple. Now, that's pretty crazy if you ask me. Only 11 condos were listed in all of Northwest, yet there was 28 sales. Now, these are very small numbers for a quadrant as large as the Northwest. This is why, 1, you don't just look at 253% and jump to conclusions and make a snap decision without diving deeper. And 2, percentages can be very easily manipulated to kind of make you think something when it's not really happening without getting the full picture. So keep that in mind when you see these reports. Now, moving along, this is the column for months of supply, and most quadrants are under 2 months of supply, which indicates a seller's market. Now, if they list their home reasonably priced with good marketing and a lot of availability, they could potentially get over asking price, but this is where the homework you do before you list is so important to really capitalize on the seller's market and really try to shoot for over asking price. Now, the opportunity is still there to do that. And for the buyers out there, yes, you have to be competitive in certain situations. New listings which come to the market, you kind of have to go with a little bit of a grain of salt depending on how it's priced. But for those units that have been listed up for 10 plus days, is now your chance to start capitalizing on that buyer's market. Regardless, if you're a buyer or a seller, there's always a strategy in every market, so make sure to do your homework. So next, and here you can see some increases year over year. Now, Northeast and North, upwards of 18% increase, whereas City Center, still rocking 7%, is holding up pretty well. Now, finally, the month over month stats. Now, these are interesting to look at, but in order to get the full picture from this stat, you need to be watching it every single month to get that physical idea and understanding of the trend. Kind of like that first chart, but for individual quadrants where you can kind of see the up and down. If you want to get into those numbers in a little bit more detail, you need to book a call. These videos would simply just get way too long. Now, a big one I do want to know is that this month, Calgary South saw a 4.46% decrease from last month. Now, that's pretty crazy. That is a $13,000 price reduction. And for something with such a small value, that's a pretty big dip. Now, what the heck happened there? This stat right here is what basically caused the average to drop. Crazy, hey? Because both the Northeast and East saw increases, one being $1,300 and the other $1,400. But it's just not enough to kind of offset that total condo average, causing it to decrease by a fairly significant amount. Next, we're going to switch it up this month and look at the yearly summary stats for 2022 and compare it to 2021. Now, I'm going to concentrate on the right-hand side of this image, and I found a couple things that are pretty interesting. And the first one being sales. Now, it's pretty obvious that condos have had a pretty strong year. So when you compare the sales to last year, condos increased by over 2,000 sales. The total sales volume is increased by $655 million. And just to wrap your head around that, how many $250,000 condo apartments do you think that is? So if you're curious about that, it's actually 2,620 condos priced for a total price of $655 million. And that's just the increase from last year. Still, the total of 6,200 condos were sold last year, which is very good. Now, new listings increased, inventory decreased, and the months of supply dropped to just over 2 months. Again, look at that shift compared to 2021, with over 4 months inching to 5 months, a very clear buyer's market favoring the buyer to kind of purchase a condo. Now we're close to 2 months, which is a very big decrease. 75% of listed homes sold, and on average, it was about 97% of list price was the sale price. Days on market did drop to 44 days, which is still a little bit high for a seller's market, but it's still a drop nonetheless. And an increase of $21,000 in price compared to last year. So all pretty cool stuff, and it's a pretty good conversation starter. Condos did really well this year. Personally, I believe Calgary will still have yet another strong year in this sector. Economic factors will need to be considered, but if all continues in the way that they're currently moving, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if we see another increase this time next year. So make sure to subscribe and continue to receive this high quality insight for condo apartments here in Calgary. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.